Hello everyone, we're back once again with an update on the huge breaking news from this afternoon. Of course, several WWE superstars have been released from the company this afternoon. Just in case you missed who those names were, we have Braun Strowman, Aleister Black, Ruby Riott, Lana, Santana Garrett and Buddy Murphy. Just quickly, Adam, your quick impressions there.
It's just baffling, isn't it? I'm almost numb to it at this point. But when you get names that are there, Aleister Black just returned to TV, Braun Strowman, former world champion, a guy that they've invested so much time and effort into, it's baffling. But we're here with some of the reported reasons why these releases have indeed happened today.
So no need to go with reported for Aleister Black because we basically heard from the horse's mouth himself. He tweeted soon after learning of the release, "I'm gathering my thoughts as this was a complete left field for me, as obviously we just started the Dark Father character, but this was it. Thank you so much WWE Universe for allowing me to create and give you small bits of myself. This is the most..." I know Braun Strowman is at the top of the card on Monday Night Raw, but Aleister Black, after the sort of re-debut of this new Dark Father character, he appeared on last week's SmackDown to confront Big E right at the end of the show. So how they're going to rewrite that entire storyline and have Big E just go, "Oh, I must have been tripping balls or something. What's been going on? And someone slipped some LSD in my coffee or something." That is... how that's happened so quickly is beyond belief, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It really... he's had a pretty rough time of it on the main roster, at least, anyway. Obviously, his time in NXT was fantastic. But they brought him up. He was that moody character for a bit, which was laughable. And it really did feel like finally they were going to put... they're going to let him... Oh, it sucks, doesn't it? It really sucks. I don't understand it at all. And it'd be interesting to see how they do deal with that creatively on Friday, or if they just ignore it, pretend it didn't happen.
Yep, so that one's come from left field. Was a complete surprise for everybody involved, it would appear. One that wasn't a surprise for everybody involved in WWE was Braun Strowman. Of course, we were sat here baffled. Of course, Strowman's been at the top of the card in WWE for a few years now. He signed a new contract with the company all the way back, well, I'll say all the way back in 2019. That was just 2 years ago, Adam. But Braun Strowman's release, according to Fightful Select, was likely the most surprising to fans, but talent close to the situation, it didn't seem to be. Several talent we spoke to said that Strowman's contract signed in 2019 was a monster deal, no pun intended there, of course, and that very much knew his worth when negotiating with the company. His contract came down to the wire in the summer of 2019, and it was signed well into 2023. So there's still quite a way to go on Braun Strowman's contract that got torn up today. For what WWE sources claim, it was over $1 million per year. Strowman was said to have been very private about negotiating the deal until it was finalised. So, wow.
Right, don't get me wrong, that's a huge amount of money. But Braun is a big star in WWE. He's arguably maybe top 10 on the entire main roster. And $1 million a year, I mean, I don't want to say it's chump change, but to WWE, a company that is turning over insane amounts of money, it's not huge. It's not a baffling amount of money by any means. It sounds about right for a guy of Braun's stature. But yeah, where it's said there, it's not especially surprising to those in the company. Maybe this has been coming for a little while. To me, WWE... they're the ones that have messed up with Braun. You think back a few years and how on fire Braun Strowman was. People were truly into him, and he is a guy that you could, I don't want to say build the company around, but as far as like if you were to pick a monster in WWE with a huge amount of potential, Braun Strowman would probably be that guy. He's shown an insane amount of improvement. And so I don't think $1 million is a crazy amount to be asking for a guy in his position. And with the improvement that he's shown. But there you go. It's a financial matter, which is, I imagine, what a lot of this comes down to.
Yeah, I was actually looking at WCW contracts from a lawsuit from back in the early 2000s. And in 1999, I found Goldberg made over $5 million. Again, I don't think that would have been his downside, but I'm saying in terms of your sort of chump change thing, I think you're spot on there, because that was 1999, and Goldberg was walking home with $5 million. On to Ruby Riott now, and Fightful Select's report continues. Among the other releases that we've heard about, Ruby Riott's release definitely seemed to shake the WWE roster the most, based on those we've spoken to. Riott was universally popular backstage and commended for her hard work often. I can't read the words. Adam, no reason there has been given, but again, this one seems to have gone completely from left field. Again, Ruby Riott is a very prominent, I say very prominent, she's prominent on SmackDown. She's used very frequently on SmackDown as part of the Riot Squad tag team in the women's tag team division.
Yeah, and she's somebody that just always gives. It sounds cliche to say, but she's somebody that gives 110%, right? She's somebody who has truly been underutilized for a long, long time. Her career in WWE has been pretty stop-start. And yeah, she's just class. And one of the reactions to this was from Liv Morgan of the Riot Squad, of course, who simply wrote, "Whoever is lucky enough to get Heidi Lovelace on their roster, you win." Tegan Knox also commenting, "That one really freaking stung. It's going to be one hell of a Lovelace world." And if you're a company, and I'm not going to start speculating on wherever she may or may not go, but she is the total package, really, isn't she? She's somebody that can really just do everything. You can build a women's roster around Ruby Riott, Heidi Lovelace.
And that's the thing that stings with a lot of the releases we've seen over the past year or two, especially, is the fact that someone like Ruby Riott clearly hasn't been given a fair crack of the whip on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, because you see in sort of the chances she is given, she can cut one hell of a promo when she was the leader of the Riot Squad, and of course she is a fantastic wrestler. She shows that again when they're given the chance, but they're not given the chance all that often, are they, Adam?
No, they're really, really not. And I think the state of the women's tag team division, the Iconics and the Riot Squad are two teams who should have been at the forefront of that from day one. And sure, they both had their chances, and Iconics obviously had the great WrestleMania moment, and then they were released not too long ago as well. It's just baffling, and it's exhausting as a fan. It's very, very difficult to invest in these characters when they are being cut very, very regularly, and the company just doesn't seem to recognize that talent. At a time when their TV is the poorest it's been in quite some time as well, especially Raw.
It makes you hard to be a fan of the company as a whole in general, I think. Cause
right.
Would you watch them if you were a fan and it wasn't your livelihood to report on what they were doing? That's because I'd be struggling, I think, at this point.
I would be struggling as well. It's very, you know what? It's difficult to justify their actions, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, the whole point is, and it's something that AEW do really well, is the sort of community feel of the thing, and you want to sort of, you want to get behind the company that you're passionate about. And we, as the WWE universe, it doesn't work for me.
Yep, so just heard about Ruby Riott's release there. Fightful's report continues. Much of the same case with Buddy Murphy, who we're told was not in the creative forecast for WWE of late. So basically, creative had nothing for Buddy Murphy, and therefore he's been released.
There you go. There said the Fightful report also says there were pictures for Murphy to team with Wesley Blake again before his release, but they were ultimately shot down. Murphy was said to be easy to work with and generally receptive to creative, and not to mention one hell of a wrestler. I you know what? He's another guy who can, he proved he can just do everything. Heel Buddy Murphy is top draw, isn't it? And wherever pretty much all of these wrestlers end up, I'm sure they'll be very, very successful. But for WWE, again, to not recognize that talent, what is right there in front of them, is completely and utterly baffling. There you go. There's your reasons. What we know so far, but this is, of course, a developing situation. More will happen. More will have happened by the time this video goes out in about an hour and a half's time. We will keep you updated, of course. So keep an eye on the channel. Keep an eye on Cultaholic.com, and we'll give you a further update tomorrow morning.
One thing to note, Adam, before we go, is from Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, who has said that, because everyone seems to be looking at these streamlining of certain departments and thinking, Vince McMahon must be getting ready to sell WWE. He, in a nutshell, there's a fantastic thread on his Twitter account at Brandon Thurston, THURSTON. That's how you spell Thurston. Basically, it's all down to sort of Nick Khan getting involved in WWE, and this is still year one under his sort of tenure. So this is just Nick Khan restructuring things, and he goes on to say this sort of happens every few years when Vince McMahon sort of puts new people under his position at the top of WWE. So maybe Vince McMahon is not getting ready to sell. Maybe this is just Nick Khan's vision of WWE. And there's a quote here: WWE had over 300 wrestlers under contract in 2020. Maybe Nick Khan thinking that's not the way to do business and make money and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's been pretty gross as well, the signing of every talent going just to keep them away from the competition and to keep them under the WWE stronghold. They deserve criticism for that as well. At the same time, I don't know. I feel like this is the sort of thing a company does. They try to generate and improve their revenue on paper so much before they do sell. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Mr. Thurston knows a lot more about economics than I do, but I can totally understand why people are speculating on the fact that Vince may be ready to sell.
Yeah. But there we go. More on this development news story, of course, at cultaholic.com. I'm back here tomorrow. I've been Ross. He's been Adam. Adam? I'm having a stroke here. It's been a long day. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Adam.